crazy. Like the entire city went to like a blaze.
I can only
How was it from your
imagine.
end? How was it on
I
your end?
was, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting in my basement and I was like pretty much sitting on the floor.
Happy New Year, everyone, or whatever, whenever you guys are listening to this. We're me and my guest here today. We're recording this literally New Year's Eve, the day before New Year's. And yeah, we're going to be starting off New Year's with a bang. I have another guest on today. On Instagram, he's known as PhillySportsEra. And you can also find his podcast, which can be found in my description. Hey, Ben, welcome to the show.
Hello, welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah. So yeah, we're just gonna be here today. We're gonna be talking some NBA. We might be talking about some NFL as well. We don't do that here because this is usually a basketball podcast, but there's some things to talk about the NFL. We're gonna talk about it, and we're just gonna be talking a lot of Philly sports. We're gonna just talk about his page and everything, and this should be a really good episode. I'm gonna have all of his links down in my link tree. If you're watching this on YouTube, remember to like, share, and subscribe. And also, you can find all of his links down in the description. And yeah, let's get into this. How has this year been for you, man?
Definitely has been a whirlwind, starting off with Kobe's death. That
Yeah,
hit hard too because, he's from my area.
yeah,
So that definitely hit home. So this year, overall, like if you think of it this way, for like personally, it actually has been a pretty good year. I don't want to like
yeah,
take away from what all has happened this year, but for
yeah,
me personally, it's been pretty good. I hit 1,000 followers on my Instagram, got my
yeah,
driver's license, I got my first job,
yeah.
so
It's,
it's been pretty, you know,
yeah, sounds good on your end.
eventful.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, like, yeah, I definitely agree with you. Like, obviously, we don't want to like discredit what's been going on around the world. Obviously,
yeah,
all this stuff has been horrible. But honestly, say for me, probably been a pretty good year. I just hit like 2,000 downloads on my podcast, which has been absolutely awesome. Thank you guys for
oh,
those
that's awesome.
who have been watching and listening to me this year. And just like the growth on my page has been great. And yeah, just because I think like even though like I just think we just like made the best out of what we could this year, which is
Yeah,
a good
for
thing.
sure.
Yeah. So yeah, when did you like start your page like in your podcast and all that?
Yeah, I started the Philly Sports Era back in 2018, like
Yeah.
November 2018.
Yeah.
Started as just a Sixers page. Now I
Yeah.
cover all four Philly sports. It's been slow, like 1,400 followers in 3 years. There's other pages that have tens of thousands that start that year. So
Yeah.
definitely a frustrating journey.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, it's also like the slow grind, right? I mean, it's not. It's definitely different for everyone and stuff like that. So, I mean,
Yeah,
like you just got to go through it. I mean, I've been doing this podcast for over. I think this is my third season on this podcast. Same thing with my Instagram page. And I mean, the first few years or so, I really didn't take it that seriously. So my follower count wasn't that low. But now that I had a lot of time during this year, I just kind of took it a bit more seriously, and the growth has been awesome. And yeah, I mean, it's just all about the slow grind. It doesn't like it always like ends up being different for different people. But yeah, it's good to see you're doing well. Um,
yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah. So in terms of your podcast, like why when did you start that and like why did you start it?
So I started like the Broad Street Talk podcast. I haven't posted on a while, but coming up in the new year, I'm going to start posting on it more. I believe I started that in September because, I want to chase a career in like radio and
Yeah.
TV broadcasting. So I thought that would be like a good way to get some practice in.
Yeah.
So definitely starting out the new year with you. Got
Yeah.
some great podcasts out there.
Yeah.
Hopefully that can take a step.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you guys should definitely go check him out. He does a lot of talk, like he said, about all the Philly sports and all that, and you should definitely go check him out. But yeah, what if you have new fans like from someone who is watching this, like coming onto your podcast, what could they expect?
I could definitely expect a guy that, devotes his time and his money to Philly sports. I've been a Philly sports fan for years. I've grown up like 10 minutes away from Philadelphia, so you can definitely expect reliable news, fast news, and news that you can connect with, and you can also build your own sports opinion with as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. So especially around like if you guys are especially like Philly fans, this is definitely the page. This is definitely the podcast for you. Like, what are some of your early memories as a Philadelphia sports fan? Like, what are some of like your earlier memories that you can kind of recall?
Yeah. My early memories, definitely watching the Sixers through the process.
Yeah.
That was a
Oh
tough
yeah.
time when they went 10-72. Like some of the earliest memories I had was like first couple Sixers games I've watched was like Jason Richardson at the late stages of his career when he was in
Yeah.
Philly. Like going to like games in the early 2010s with like Nerlens Noel and Jalil Okafor.
Yeah.
Eagles, like watching Michael Vick and early Nick Foles, Flyers with
Yeah.
Wayne Simmons,
Yeah.
let's see, Phillies with Chase Utley and Shane Victorino and all those legends.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been like, especially like throughout this decade, you guys have definitely like had your ups and downs for sure. Like, as like in like Philly sports, 100%.
Yeah.
Like talking about like we're gonna be talking about the Sixers a bit later, but you guys have definitely gone up and down. Out of those four
Okay.
teams you mentioned, like who do you think has like the best outlook in terms of Philly sports? If you had to rank them from 1 to 4,
Like my best known order is probably Sixers, Eagles, Phillies, Flyers.
yeah,
From like the list ranking, probably the best future out of
yeah,
the four. The best future would probably be the Sixers with Ben and Joel,
yeah,
like two young stars. A lot of people don't like that combo. The NBA
yeah,
media is like, oh, Ben Simmons and Joel, they're never gonna work. Like
yeah.
they act like they haven't had multiple winning seasons.
Oh yeah, they've made the
So
playoffs like
I
basically every
know,
year.
like they act like Joel and Ben can't play together, but they can. They've made all-star teams. They're both been all NBA.
Yeah.
Uh, I know. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I definitely have to agree with you there in the sense where, like, their stats back up, like, they actually play well together as well. It's not like they're like having
yeah.
like losing seasons or anything. Like, they could work together. It's just that trying to find the right combination in terms of just trying to find like that championship formula is just like
Hmm.
what's kind of next for these 76ers. Yeah, so let's move on to some like Eagles talk because
All right.
this season, I mean, like we're both fans of teams from the NFC East. Been a rough year just for the NFC East in general. I mean, I
Oh
really
yeah.
don't. I mean, I if I had to choose, I don't think any of us should be in the playoffs at this point, but one of us kind of has to be in. But talking about the Eagles, and we're gonna start about Carson Wentz because this year, pretty
Yeah,
rough
hot
season for
topic.
sure. Even like like he hasn't played since week 13, and he still leads the league in turnovers. I mean, how has this season been as an Eagles fan?
Coming into the season, I had very, very high hopes. Like looking at the schedule, I had us going like 10-6, 11-5, because it was a tough schedule coming in,
Yeah,
and especially Carson Wentz having an okay season last year. But when I looked at it this way, I was like, oh dang, Carson Wentz had 4,000 passing yards without having a stud wide receiver. So I'm like, all right, go into next year. We get healthy. We draft a receiver in the first round,
yeah.
and then he just ends up just not performing to what his contract states. So Carson Wentz definitely has been disappointing to say the least this year.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the fact that I mean, like a lot of people, even like throughout the early weeks of the season, have been calling for Carson Wentz to be benched and like trying to get like Jalen Hurts in there. I
Hmm.
mean, just watching him like over this last few weeks. I know you guys just got eliminated from playoff contention by my Dallas Cowboys. I would like to say, but how has he been? Like, how do you feel confident as him like being your quarterback for the future?
Yeah, like the Philadelphia Eagles fan page community on Instagram is very
Yeah,
split. Like going forward, I want Carson Wentz because I know that Carson Wentz could be a better quarterback for the Eagles. He
yeah,
can run, he can pass. If we just look back at 2017, it's not like that ability just goes away into the abyss. It's still there. The
yeah,
Eagles after the Super Bowl, all these coaches, instead of building a dynasty, they all decide to leave.
Yeah.
So if we get the right coaches, like an offensive coordinator, an actual quarterback coach, the Eagles, Carson Wentz, and specifically, he can return to that 2017 form. So back to Jalen Hurts, that dude is very, very entertaining.
Yeah.
I'm like jumping up watching him, like
Oh
he
yeah,
had
for sure.
three, he had 330 passing yards last week, like
Yeah.
70 rushing yards. Like I like Jalen, but I'd still rather have Carson.
Yeah, even on that big contract, are you still are you not like worried about like kind of keep him around, especially because you kind of have that quarterback like way behind him?
Yeah, like the contract is a big problem. If he didn't have that massive contract, I think Carson would have been traded at the deadline.
Yeah.
He's just a massive contract, and it's going to be hard to deal with. So that's why the Eagles are kind of stuck with Carson.
Yeah,
They can't move it.
yeah, exactly. And it's gonna be definitely hard in the offseason. Like he's like making like a near what, like 30, like over
Yeah,
$30 million at
about
this point.
yeah,
About
about
30.
30 million a year. Yeah.
Yeah. Like what is like kind of the best like in terms of trade scenarios, like what is the best like sort of like trade scenario you could see you can get out of Carson?
So the Colts have been in like
Yeah.
the question for a Carson Wentz trade. Speaking about like a potential return, like his contract would be so hard to move. So
Yeah.
the Eagles would have to accept not a humongous like return because the,
Yeah.
the teams are not going to offer like their star players and first round picks for a humongous contract for a player that might not even be able to play anymore.
Yeah.
So maybe a second, third round pick in return.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like best case scenario as well. I mean, like
Yeah.
he definitely has not done himself any favors this season,
Hmm.
and I mean if it was like what 2017 was the one like where you guys won the Super Bowl, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
2017, 2018. Yeah.
yeah. So like if it was that time, especially because like before the injury, he was playing at an MVP level. Not a lot of people remember this. I know
Hmm.
I think Tom Brady was the one that won that season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
like before that, I mean Carson Wentz was definitely up there as one of the MVP candidates, and I think a lot of people do forget that he
Yeah.
had that ability. But this year, I
I
mean,
don't know where it went.
like where did like honestly like what happened to it? I mean, like the offense, like obviously like, the offensive line has not like been like kind to him. His receivers have
Yep.
been absolutely depleted this year. I mean, you lost D Jackson what week one, so that was like that was already like a tough start to the season. So like and just in terms of, like we talked about the quarterbacks, but if you look at kind of the outlook of the roster as a whole, like what do you think you guys should target this offseason?
Like it's a mixed bag. Defensive line is solid.
Yeah,
Corner has been a massive problem. Like these last couple weeks, we have allowed like DeAndre Hopkins had like 130 receiving yards. Dante
Michael
Adams
Gallup,
had
Michael Gallup
Michael Gallup out of all
destroyed you
people,
guys on Sunday. You
out of all
actually,
people, Gallup goes off.
yeah.
I mean,
So like, I guess
yeah,
like the secondary.
yeah, secondary definitely is a big problem. We paid all this money to Darius Slay, like $50 million.
Yeah,
Now he's not looking like big play Slay right now.
yeah,
So
yeah. But I mean, like, at least like, so like, you put the season behind you. You guys are sitting last in the NFC East right now. Um, do you have like, are you confident they can get to like the playoffs next year?
Uh, yes, I'm very confident as long as we get some coaching.
Yeah,
Like Press Taylor, quarterback coach, never heard of him before as coming in. I just feel like where do these coaches come from? Like, do we
yeah,
just walk down the streets of Philadelphia? Hey, you look like a good quarterback coach. Come over here.
yeah,
Like, we just need to hire some just quarterback coaching for Carson. Like, Carson's the franchise player here, and we deserve franchise style coaching for Carson.
yeah. Yeah. So like from the looks from what I'm hearing and from like what we're talking about, you're still confident that the roster, if they get healthy, they're still like one of like a
Yeah,
top team in the NFC East and stuff like that. You just need to get
for
healthy
sure.
and yeah, and just
Yeah.
definitely get some coaching. So yeah, speaking of like people in our division, let's talk some Cowboys. I mean, I don't really do this on the pod, but let's talk some Cowboys, but
All
because
right.
somehow, some way, they are still alive. I think we are sitting right now at 6-9 so
Yeah,
far
six
in
and
this
nine.
season.
Yep.
6-9 this season. We just eliminated the Eagles from playoff contention, and just I mean, honestly, like what do you like? Do you honestly think like any team from the NFC East deserves to be here? Like in
I
this,
know it's not fair at all because we're gonna see one of these like 10-6 teams, 11-5 teams not make the playoffs just because of a 7-9 team making the playoffs.
it's
I just don't. There
it,
definitely should be a rule. There
yeah.
should definitely be a rule. It should just be seeding. It shouldn't matter for divisional champions. It should be
Honestly, man.
seeding.
Honestly, just like looking at this, I'm going into next like week. I think we are facing the, I think we're facing the Giants. I believe it was like I think it's the Giants. I'm not sure if it's.
Yeah,
I believe it's the Giants next week because I think you guys are facing Washington. If I'm not,
red
but yeah,
the football team.
yeah, you're watching. You'll be facing the football team next week, and at this point, like, still the Giants are still in the race. The Cowboys are still in
Yeah.
the race, and the Redskins are handle their own destiny. If they just beat you guys next week, they make it to the playoffs. But freaking 7-9. I
I
mean,
do not want I do not want to see the football team putting on their divisional champion hats in our stadium.
that
Do
would
not want to
all.
see that.
No, I just don't want to see the
That would
football team.
sting.
I don't want to see the foot. Like, I don't want to see a team called the football team like win our
The
division and it's
football team.
just the football team. Honestly, like out of like even before the season, like when they like had that whole mess with the like trying to figure out a name and they just settled on football team. I'm like, I swear, if
I
we
mean,
lose,
come on.
I'm like, like if we lose, like if either the Eagles, Cowboys like lose the division to the football team, I was gonna be pissed. And now and it's actually looking like that right
It's
now.
actually looking like it's gonna happen.
Yeah, but yeah, like just back to the Cowboys. Like, do you like? Did you think like they were gonna have high expectations this year coming into the season?
Yeah, coming into the like they started off, pretty shaky, but Dak was playing like out of this world. He was like on pace for like 5,000 passing yards.
Yeah,
It's like as an Eagles fan, it sucked to see Dak go down.
yeah,
I like Dak. I don't like Zeke, but I'm okay with Dak. So yeah, coming to the season, I definitely thought the Cowboys, like their offense is completely stacked. You
yeah,
got
exactly.
like you guys taking CD Lamb.
Yeah,
I was fuming. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. I was
Oh
like
my, yeah.
defense.
I don't know how they honestly how he landed to us. Like I was like, yo, we actually were able to
I don't
get.
know.
I
I don't know why you guys did take him. You
I
guys don't even need CD Lamb.
no, we don't. I mean, like just looking like back like on this season, I wasn't expecting our defense to be this bad. To be honest, like our defense
Yeah,
is
not even that
trash.
bad.
I mean, it's like they have we have names on our like on our defense. I mean, we brought
Your
back
linebackers are stacked.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know, we had Sean Lee, Jalen Smith,
Mm-hmm.
Van Der Esch. I mean, Van Der Esch had his yearly problems with his neck, like he always does every year.
He always
But
does.
yeah, but kind of like you talked about your Eagles, our secondary is trash. Our secondary is absolutely trash. I mean, like I had high hopes for Chidobe Awuzie or whatever this year. He was like he didn't really play well, and our best corner is probably that rookie like Trayvon Diggs, I believe is
Trayvon Diggs, yep.
yeah Trayvon Diggs, and like I'm just not confident that I really think that we need to like work on just defense this offseason because if our offense can get healthy,
Yeah.
we're
If
like
your
we are
offense just stays the way it is,
yeah,
then
especially I mean like because a lot of that had to do with just a lot of offensive line problems like
yeah.
Travis Frederick retiring before the season honestly hit me
Yeah.
hard. I was so sad seeing Travis Frederick retire. And then after that, seeing Lyle Collins go down with injury before the season, Tyron Smith
Mm-hmm.
being out in and out, and basically Zach Martin had to play like every single position on the offensive line, which has been horrible. But somehow we're still in it. I mean, we right now we are 6-9. It's definitely a
It's
tough
crazy.
season. Yeah,
Definitely 2020.
yeah, definitely. If anything, the NFC East, yeah, exactly. The NFC East is the definition of 2020. An
Yeah.
absolute best, but somehow someone has to win, like in
Yep.
this, like in all this. Like, would you be surprised if like any team in the NFC East like won a playoff game?
I don't see it
Yeah,
happening.
yeah,
The best chance a team has would probably be. I mean, Dallas is actually what 3 straight wins now.
yeah,
So Dallas, maybe,
yeah,
maybe I think Dallas has the best chance to win in a playoff game.
Yeah,
Washington, their quarterback situation.
freaking
Uh,
Dwayne Haskins, man. Yeah, that was a whole mess. But yeah, and like even like the Giants, I mean, like they had like hope, like mid-season they had like some sort of momentum, but then that all
mm,
went down to garbage, like down to garbage. I mean,
yeah, so
they ended up
definitely
going.
Dallas.
Yeah, I think honestly, like if we win a playoff game, I would be like overjoyed. But we have to get there in the first place. But
Yeah.
yeah, um, I mean, just like in general football, like who do you think like are like the kind of like the favorites to go to the Super Bowl this year?
I'm definitely Chiefs in the AFC.
Yeah,
NFC between the Seahawks, Packers. Uh, I gotta go Packers.
yeah,
Packers had a big shot last year in the playoffs, but like Raheem Mostert of the 49ers like
yeah.
totally went off.
Oh
So the
yeah,
Packers should have been in the Super Bowl. So definitely Chiefs Packers is my
yeah,
pick
yeah.
this year.
Yeah, I honestly think like just like any like if you have like a top five quarterback right now, I think like they're gonna be some crazy matchup gonna happen in the Super Bowl. And I
Hmm.
kind of have to agree with you. The Packers just have looked absolutely great this year. Obviously, the Chiefs are 14-1 as of right
I
now.
mean, they're insane.
They're like Patrick Mahomes is amazing. He is honestly
Like
amazing.
they are like Travis Kelsey and Tyreek Hill. Like that's all you need. Those are two franchise positions.
Yeah,
They're like the
and
best player at their positions this year.
yeah, exactly. And honestly, just like I just do not see like it just feels like with at least with the Kansas City Chiefs that no matter at what point in the game they're always in it, even if they're down double digits. Like you just know that
Yeah, like
few possession,
you still know they're gonna win.
you just have a feeling that they're gonna win. So yeah, I mean like we talk about some NFC East. I mean it's gonna be rough for any team of like from that division to go into the playoffs, but that's I mean it is what it is. We're gonna have to see some like 7-9 team go to the playoffs this year. Let's move on to some basketball talk because, like I
All
said, we're
right.
going to be talking some Philadelphia 76ers. So, and like this season so far, you guys are off to a good start. You guys, I think, beat my Toronto Raptors
Yeah, beat
like
the
just
Raptors.
the other night. And yeah, good start to the season, 3-1. You guys
Yep.
have made major changes in the offseason. Like, how are you liking like the type of move, like the moves that you made this offseason?
You know, is Danny Green the best player? Not really, not at all.
No.
But he got rid of Al Horford, so that's all I care about. Danny can get it done defensively, but 3-point percentage, he can't really shoot at all. So, as long as we got rid of Horford, that's all I really cared about.
Yeah.
Uh, and then we got
Seth.
Seth Curry
Yeah, you got
for
Seth.
Josh Richardson. I like that trade as well. Uh, didn't want to trade that second round pick because it was an early second round pick. I'm like, we probably could have just swapped them, to be honest,
Yeah.
Seth Curry for Josh Richardson. But
Yeah.
Seth he's been dropping about 15 points per game this year, which is pretty solid.
Yeah.
Obviously, getting rid of Brett Brown was a huge step, and we can already see the differences. We can actually see Joel down in the post where he's belonging.
Yeah, like he's
Now
not
he's
just camped out in the
probably,
corner. Like at least he's
I
not
know,
camping. Yeah,
like, and now we could see him dropping 30 points and 15 rebounds per night now. So
yeah,
definitely Joel is, my opinion, like top three MVP candidate this year so far with him and Kyrie's been pretty good this year too.
Trey Young.
So
Yeah, Trey Young is definitely up
yeah,
there.
Trey
Yeah,
Young, yeah.
yeah. I mean, like you. I mean, we talked about it like early on in the podcast. I mean, like a lot of pundits, a lot of just like sports personalities like have like bashed the Sixers for because of their lack of shooting, especially with their top two guys being Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. I for one am like a Simmons defender to the ends of the earth. Like honestly, like
Yeah,
I
so am
really
I.
like. I mean, like I really like his play, and I think people really do just focus too much on like his shooting, and doesn't like people
Yeah.
forget to realize that he's elite basically everywhere else.
Yeah, that's what Stephen A. Smith like says that. He's like, yeah, it doesn't care that he doesn't shoot. He's literally the best of like one of the best defensive players.
Like honestly, right
He's
now
a
he's my defensive
great
player of the
passer.
year. Like honestly, right
Oh
now he's my
yeah.
defensive player of the year. He's been phenomenal, like on that end. But I do have a criticism on him, and that's he just hasn't really improved since his rookie season. Like in the sense where
Yeah.
like he like if you look at his rookie season, 16, 8-8, like rookie of the year, obviously fantastic season, but he
Hmm.
hasn't really like got in like past that. Like, what are your thoughts on like kind of like Ben Simmons and like how like just kind of like the first few years have you had him?
Yeah, he definitely like he's been playing like the same way, bringing the ball up, passing it out, occasionally driving inside. His game is definitely very flat. So I'm just scared that teams are gonna be able to predict what he's gonna do. Like
Yeah,
they're gonna at some point they're gonna stop Ben, so maybe Ben should start working on more of a jump shot just to add another level to his game.
yeah,
So yeah, that's like the biggest argument right now is just Ben not improving. If
yeah.
anything, he's improved defensively. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, like, but it's kind of like that was kind of his moniker coming into the league. Like he was like a 6'10" point, basically point forward. Now he's transitioned to being your point guard, and
Hmm.
he has the defensive abilities. But I mean, like for me, it's just like one of those things where if he has that takeover scoring ability, like even just like kind of like LeBron-esque, where he could just go inside whenever he wants to,
Yeah.
I think that is where we could like take him to the next level. Because like I remember making a list back in June or July during the pandemic, and I had him as a top five point guard, and I got freaking like
I know.
cursed
Like
out.
I saw a list. Someone put him at like 8 and 9.
Yeah, I
Like
mean, like
they,
I don't think he's 8 and 9, but like after seeing the season, I have him maybe 6 7, maybe like
yeah.
bordering
Like
on
so
number
far
five.
this season, yeah.
Yeah, so far. But I had a
Hmm.
lot of people like really like bashing me for having Ben Simmons over like certain players like and stuff like that. So I don't know. I mean, like I'm a huge fan of him, but yeah, like him working with Embiid, like do you think like you can win a championship with that duo? Like can you like do you think it's
Yeah. I definitely can. It's like the thing is, the players around them. The players around them is what's stopping us.
yeah.
Because Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid put up solid numbers, but who's around them? He never had that third wheel. Tobias is very inconsistent. Like Jimmy was okay, but we had Jimmy for 1 year. So we just
Yeah.
have a consistent third guy. Like someone like Buddy Hield or Zach Levine would be perfect. Like someone we could bounce it out to,
Yeah. Yeah.
That third threat.
Yeah. Speaking of Tobias Harris, I mean, what are your thoughts on it? Like, just like the way he's playing and just like his contract situation? Because I've had people on the show, and I swear, like, whenever I have someone on the show, we always have some little segment where we just bash Tobias Harris's contract. Like, I swear, like, we like it just like slips into the podcast. Like, I swear, like, every time I have a guest on. But what do you like as a 76ers fan? Like, are you just like you just don't like the contract? Like, what are your thoughts on him in general?
Obviously, one of the biggest mysteries of all time is why did the Sixers give $180 million to Tobias Harris? Never been to an All-Star team. Barely averaged 20.
Yeah,
Why did we give him 180 million over Jimmy Butler? The world may never know.
yeah.
Uh, Very inconsistent. Like against the Raptors, I think he dropped like 24, 26 points.
His
I mean,
best
he
game
had a
of the
pretty good game.
season. It was his
Yeah,
best game of the season so far. Yeah.
best game so far this season. Just he's so inconsistent. Like the home opener, like the season opener, he shot 3 for 13.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's just something about him. He kind of has like this like he doesn't want to shoot too like I swear he does like this thing like when I like watch the 76ers play. Like he has an
Hmm.
open three, but he always pump fakes and takes a step in, and it really like annoys me. It really like it
Yeah,
annoys it annoys me just because like they need like outside scoring, and this guy's just like taking like a more difficult 2 point shot. And
yeah, I
I
know.
mean,
You move closer to the defense.
yeah, I know exactly. And I mean, obviously bringing in Doc Rivers. I mean, his best season was definitely like before you guys traded for him when he was a member of the Los Angeles Clippers.
Hmm.
I mean, are you hoping that Doc Rivers like breaks something out of him this season?
Oh yes, most definitely. If we could get Los Angeles Clipper Tobias Harris, like 20, like averaging 20 points, just outside of All Star voting, just
Yeah,
like I said before, if he can just become that Clippers guy, then maybe that could be our third wheel threat. So I'm
yeah,
hoping that we get that out of him. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's not really Tobias Harris being your third option, but it's always like kind of this like at least so far this season, it's kind of been like a rotating wheel. I know like Shake Milton has been pretty good for you guys this year as well.
Yeah.
Although yeah, he's coming off the bench. Seth Curry obviously has been playing well, And
Hmm.
I'm just glad that you guys got shooting because last year you guys had literally no shooting in your starting lineup,
Nothing.
like, and that really did show, especially like in the playoffs where you guys, I think you guys got swept, right? I think you
Yes,
guys got swept.
swept. We got smothered by the Celtics. Oh,
Yeah, that was definitely a rough time, and
yeah.
yeah, I mean this season hopefully it's a lot different. Like, what is your kind of your prediction for like how the 76ers are going to do this year and how far they'll go?
Yeah, my prediction is was a 72 game season, right?
Yeah,
So I want to say 45 wins. I predict
yeah.
Ben and Joel All Stars. If I don't even think we'll have an All Star game, but we might
I mean, they still
still
have a team.
recognize All Stars.
Yeah, they still recognize them. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Okay. So Ben and Joel All Stars. Probably. So if we have 45 wins, that's probably around the third, fourth, fifth seed in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, yeah,
Probably another second round exit.
yeah,
I just we need that. We need another like elite shooter. You know,
yeah. I know what you
like
mean.
on the starting lineup.
Yeah, I definitely see what you mean. But like from so far this season, do you could like consider them maybe like dark horse contenders? Like, do you think they could be like someone that can like kind of like surprise some teams in the East and maybe like have a chance at the finals?
Oh yeah. A lot of people are already like underestimating what we're doing. 3-1 so far, which was
Yeah,
one of the best. I mean, it's 4 games into the season, but
yeah,
3-1, and also we haven't played the best teams so far, like the Knicks and Celtics and the Raptors.
yeah.
We haven't played like that, like a top team like the Bucks and
Or the Lakers or something like that.
Lakers.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
definitely, I think we could be a dark horse. Yeah.
yeah. I definitely see it too. I mean, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid. I think they, especially like with the amount of shooting they have around them, I think it's probably going to be their best chance. It's probably like their best chance this year for sure.
Hmm.
Before we move on to our next topic, I do want to like talk about this because like whenever I talk about like to a Philly fan, I always have to ask him this question: how was it being on the other end of the shot of Kawhi's shot
Oh.
2 years ago? How was that? Honestly, like I know. Okay, before we get to your explanation, for me, like I was screaming like a madman. I was at Jurassic Park. I was at Jurassic Park. That whole thing was crazy. Like the entire city went to like a blaze.
I can only
How was it from your
imagine.
end? How was it on
I
your?
was, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting in my basement with my dad. I was like pretty much sitting on the floor, like my
Yeah,
hands crossed, my eyes closed. And I just see, it was a travel. By the way, it
yeah.
was a travel. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
a
that's what
travel.
they. No, 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 come on, no, no. If that's a travel, then every single thing Giannis does is a travel because it's like that stupid gather step that they always talk about. It's
Yeah.
like it's not a travel. It's not a travel. I will defend it to that day. It's not a travel. But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, so yeah, I just see Kawhi because that series, Kawhi was out of this world.
Yeah, because
I
everyone
just
else
see
on our
him
team was trash.
fading. I just see him fading away. Joel, like his hands up all the way. It's like one that went in. TV was turned off, and I just ran upstairs.
Honest, honestly, no, like I think like even as a Sixers fan, like when like those bounces happen, did you just
Uh,
like hold your breath, like just
I'm like,
wait?
I'm like, when I see like bouncing on the rim, I'm like, all right, overtime. I'm getting excited. I went upstairs, about to get some snacks for OT,
Yeah.
and then it goes in. I was
Yeah.
probably crying. I don't remember.
I was crying. I was
Uh,
crying tears of joy. Honestly, like Kawhi, like that was a whole magical season. I mean, and what people forget about that game as well is that Kawhi almost choked it for us because he missed that free throw. Jimmy Butler goes
mhm.
all the way down,
The
gets the layup,
steal. Yep.
yeah, gets the layup to tie the game. And honestly, like my heart like broke at that moment. I'm like, how did we let them back in this game? Like I was honestly so sad. But Kawhi Leonard hits the first walk like game 7 walk off game winner, and
Uh,
everything like whatever happened before that didn't matter to me. Like
yeah.
whatever like happened, I mean, it must have been definitely heartbreaking as a 76ers fan, especially because honestly, if you
Yeah.
like, I truly believe this even to this day. If you guys beat us that series, you guys are going to the finals.
I know exactly.
You guys, I just don't think because I just like whether it was us or you guys, the Bucks were just not ready. The Bucks were
Because
not.
that season we were stacked. That season. Oh gosh. Jimmy Butler,
Yeah,
Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, JJ Redick. We were so stacked. I
yeah,
definitely think we could have went to the finals because
yeah,
that season I think we dominated the Bucks in the season series.
yeah. And you guys, I think I believe you guys like ended that season on like a 15-game winning streak as well. Like I think like when
Something like
Joel
that.
Embiid was
Yeah.
injured, like Ben Simmons just absolutely like just took over and was like an
hmm
absolute beast. Like I honestly thought that you guys were gonna take down the Milwaukee Bucks. I honestly thought like if you guys beat us there, but yeah, I mean like that whole series was honestly like I was like that was like my first ever playoff game. Game 5 versus the 76ers in that series. And I don't know, there were just so many memorable moments. I mean if you remember like the Joel Embiid airplane and stuff like that. Like
Oh, that was fun. That was a
yeah,
great game. And then Drake was like mocking him.
I was at that game.
Oh,
Literally, he started it, and like the entire crowd like was started doing the airplane, and it was like, I mean, I was just sad that the only playoff game I've been to was a blowout because I think we blowed you guys out that game. But
yeah,
yeah, you guys returned the favor the next game. I think you beat us by like 30. So
yeah. That
I,
was a good time.
yeah, I mean, definitely like it's always just fun talking about that moment, just because like on both ends. I mean, like
Because
whenever I talk to like Raptor fans, obviously we all had like kind of similar like esque reactions. But 76ers fans, I mean, it's just like what'd you say? You turned off the TV. You kind of had to turn off
oh,
the TV.
turned off it right away. Oh,
Yeah, definitely a memorable moment. But I mean, I mean, it led that shot led to our championship, and you guys just kept losing shooters. Honestly,
yep.
like
I mean, left Jimmy. Jimmy left. I still don't know why we just got Josh Richardson out of that deal. We only
yeah,
got one player out of it. I'm like, oh, we might get Bam Adebayo. We
no.
might get Justice Winslow. Nope, we just got Josh Richardson. I'm like,
I think the reason was because like I think it was like it was someone like I was listening to a podcast that season, but someone was comparing freaking Josh Richardson as going to be the next Jimmy Butler, and I think the 76ers were hearing that noise, and I'm like, no way, no way,
no way.
no
Yeah.
way. But
I mean,
yeah,
Jay Rich wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't bad for us. He just like didn't fit our scheme,
yeah,
and he really wasn't that much of a shooter. Like he could
yeah,
get it done, but really wasn't what we were looking for.
yeah, definitely. But let's move on to the next topic. But you guys at least have wins this season. My Toronto
Yeah.
Raptors, on the other hand, we don't. We're right now we're sitting 0-3. We're definitely struggling so far. I talked about this on my TikTok. We had double digit leads in all of these games, and
yep.
somehow we've just lost it. And as of we're recording on December 31st, the Raptors are facing the New York Knicks tonight. And if we
If you
lose
guys
that game,
lose tonight, then
if
that's
we
a problem.
yeah,
Yeah.
like right now I'm not hitting the panic button. I mean, we lost to some good teams. Obviously, the Pelicans have looked really good this season. The 76ers have looked
Mhm.
really good. And the Spurs, honestly, like even them have looked pretty solid this season. But if we lose to the Knicks, then this is like a whole new level of kind
We
of
might have to
panic.
reevaluate. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But as a 76er fans, obviously we're in the same division and stuff like that. You guys going to face us 4 times this year. What is your like kind of outlook on like just the Raptors in general?
Whenever we play the Raptors, it's always a good game. Sixers Raptors is always good. Uh,
Except last year when Joel had 0 points.
I
Yeah,
don't know what happened. Like Marcus always locks down Joel. Like
yeah,
out of all people, like 35-year-old Marcus always locks him down. So
yeah,
definitely, I think you guys losing both of your big men and Serge Ibaka and Gasol, that probably did hurt just
yeah,
because that the chemistry on that Raptors team is just so high.
yeah,
You guys never you guys are like deep, but you don't
yeah,
have like that like superstar like we do. It's just your
yeah,
chemistry is really good.
yeah,
So I look on like season series between the Raptors Sixers. I could definitely see us splitting, like going
yeah,
2-2 each.
yeah, yeah. Like, are you like worried about it? Like, I mean, so far the Raptors are 0-3. Like, I know a lot of Raptor fans are panicking, but as a fan from someone outside the organization, like, should the Raptors be panicking like at this moment?
I don't know. No way.
No.
You guys still are a solid team. Like you said before, you guys have been leading the
Yeah,
games by double digits. It's just getting a little bit lazy at the end. You like substitutions
yeah,
at the wrong time.
yeah. I
So
don't know. I mean,
you
like,
guys will be fine.
yeah. I mean, especially in that game versus the 76ers. I think what was it? I think it was Monday or Tuesday night. Um, like we like especially like it's like if we look at the end of that like did you like watch that game by the way?
The Sixers
Yeah,
Raptors.
yeah,
Yeah, I watched it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because like, if you remember at the end of halftime, like right before halftime, like the 76ers came back into the game, they tied it.
Hmm.
Kyle Lowry subs in and just starts like an 8-0 run to end the quarter. And the same thing happened like basically like at the end of the third. And like the biggest problem with the Raptors so far this season is that once Kyle Lowry leaves the floor, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah. Same
It's
with Joel. Same with Joel. Yeah.
yeah, like you must have been kind of scared like when he kind of like went down like really quickly.
I
You
mean, whenever like Joel like falls on the ground, I'm like, uh oh.
yeah,
Watching Joel just makes me so nervous.
I mean like no
He
he's like
just
one of those
does
like
stuff that.
yeah like every like he's like one of
Uh,
those players in the league like whenever like he hits the ground you just kind of have to like
I'm
grimace a
like,
little
oh
bit.
god.
Yeah, you just kind of gotta
Yeah.
worry. I mean, he's like on the same lines as someone kind of like a Derrick Rose. Like whenever he falls, you kind of have to worry. Like same thing with Joel Embiid, just
Hmm.
because long injury
Yeah.
history, you just don't want anything bad to happen to him.
Yep.
But yeah, whenever Kyle Lowry leaves the floor, our team is a mess. Before we move on to like, kind of like the final topics, but a quick message to Nick Nurse: please play Malachi Flynn. He was absolutely fantastic in the
Yeah, he was
preseason.
good in the preseason. Yeah,
Yeah,
I heard about
and
that.
yeah, and it's something with Fred Van VanVleet. Like he just cannot be like a point guard on this team. He kind of needs to be kind of like off ball as like a secondary ball handler next to Kyle
Yeah.
Lowry, or just to or just get Malachi Flynn to play backup point guard. Just because like Fred Van VanVleet just works so well off the ball, it just works out so much better that way because he just can't be a lead point guard, and that's what I've kind of like accepted this season. And also Pascal Siakam. I mean, I don't know like what your thoughts on him are, but it's kind of looking really rough for him so
Yeah, a little
far.
slow to start the year. Yeah.
Yeah, but do you still think like he'll like become like a really good player, or do you think like this is something that kind of like follow him?
I think like what we saw from him last year, I don't see him like improving anymore. Like I don't see him becoming
Oh, you see like that's like
like a
his peak.
super yeah, like a superstar. I see him like being a like a perennial all-star, solid forward, like
Yeah,
averaging about 22 a game. You know, don't see
yeah,
him going any higher.
yeah. I definitely could see that, and especially this year's coming kind of rough. But I think you know this team has gone through a lot of adversity in the past.
Yeah.
They're gonna definitely try and figure it out now. But yeah, that's we just talked about some of our teams. Whenever I have a guest on, I always like to end the show with a kind of this little topic called hot, cold, or just right. I'm gonna give you some NBA topics. You're gonna tell me if you're hot on them, which means like you're like you agree with it a lot. You're cold, like you disagree with it, or just right. So you ready?
All right, let's
All right,
go.
all right. So there's just some NBA topics that happened throughout the week. Firstly, if I don't know if you watched yesterday's Clippers game, Kawhi Leonard's mask. It looked that was I like we've seen some awesome masks in the past. We've seen some awesome masks. Let's be
Yeah,
honest. I
like
mean, Joel
Joel
Embiid's
Embiid
mask, yeah.
mask.
Like
That
Kyrie
was
Irving's
cool.
mask.
Yep.
We've seen Kobe like an awesome mask. LeBron James, but
Hmm.
Kawhi's mask. Are you hot, cold, or just right on it?
That is cold. That looks straight out of a horror movie.
What's
like
weird
the,
about it? It's like his
it's like
whole
a
face is
full
covered.
thing.
Yeah, no, it's full, but he has
Yeah.
like this like little like opening for his eyes and his nose, but everything else is covered.
So weird. It's
I
so
know,
weird.
I know, because it's trying to protect his mouth. It's trying to protect his mouth because see that's where he got like 8 stitches or whatever after
Yeah,
Ibaka elbowed
that
him.
looked oh, that looked
Yeah,
bad.
I thought it was gonna be worse to be honest, but he only needed 8 stitches. But yeah, it looked really bad. But
It's kind of ironic that it was from Serge Ibaka's old teammate.
no, what was really ironic, especially for Raptor fans, was Kawhi elbowed him when like during a season, like during like the season, like Kawhi was with us. He elbowed him in the regular season, which caused him to leave the game. So it's kind of like it's kind of like some sort of like I don't want to say revenge, but it happened like the other way around
Yeah,
this time, which is really weird. So
yeah,
yeah, I mean like definitely cold. I'm definitely cold on that mask.
yeah.
I mean
Definitely cold. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, so far the Clippers are doing well this season. I mean, I'll bar that 50-point loss they had to the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, do
that
you?
was crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. Like, do you still consider them to be like kind of contenders in the West?
Yeah, for sure. Paul George. A lot of memes going around about him, but he's a
Yeah,
good regular season performer. Kawhi If he like his second year in LA, he might get a little bit more comfortable. New coach, so a little bit of a fresh start. I don't see him like making the conference finals just because of the new coaching. I think
Yeah.
give it a little like isn't Kawhi a free agent after this year?
Yeah.
Didn't he
I mean,
sign
I
a
know.
2 year deal?
Yeah. Yeah. Paul George is signed the max early in the season, but yeah,
I
Kawhi's
know.
gonna.
Paul
Kawhi.
George, like, how did he get that?
Yeah.
Sheesh. So yeah, Kawhi. If they don't win it this year, Kawhi might leave.
I could
So
definitely.
if
Yeah. I
they
could.
like definitely underperform, I could definitely see Kawhi moving on.
Yeah. Definitely. Like at least like the conference finals. I think that should be kind of like the bare minimum. And even still, he might leave, but at least like have a competitive conference finals. And I think the Clippers would consider that
Yeah.
at least a win this season. Next topic, James Harden. I mean, he has been all over the news recently. I know he's been linked to your team
Yep. Yep.
throughout the season, but um, are you hot, cold, or just right on James Harden going to the 76ers?
I am extremely hot.
Hot?
Obviously with Daryl Morey being here,
Yeah.
like him and James have a great relationship. The tension's running high in Houston with James, even though like he's coming off quarantine and then he still drops 44 and 17.
Bro, he was in
Like
the
that's
strip club.
insane.
He's been partying all summer.
Like and then he comes into the
Like
NBA and drops 44.
44. Exactly. I don't I mean my only thing
So
about like James Harden and Philly, like what like do you think you're gonna have to give up? Because I'm assuming you don't want to give up Ben. You don't want to give
yeah,
up
I don't want to
Joel.
give up.
Yeah. But what else are you gonna like off? Like what else do you think you
Like
can like
probably
offer?
the biggest trade package would probably I would love for it and to involve Tobias. I'm thinking like Tobias, like three first round picks. Uh, Matisse Thybulle. He hasn't even played that much this year, so we can actually throw him in if he's out of the rotation.
Yeah.
Maybe Shake Milton. That could get a deal done.
Yeah, I don't know because like what Houston is saying is like they want a superstar in return, and the only thing I could see like that happening is you guys, including Ben Simmons. And I don't. If I'm the 76ers, I wouldn't want
I
to give
would
up Ben
not.
Simmons. I would not want
Yeah.
to give up Ben Simmons. Like I said, like I'm a huge fan of his, but if you're gonna try to get James Harden, like honestly, anything else but those two, I think would be like a
Yeah.
W for you
Anything
guys.
else is available. Yeah.
Yeah, anything else. But I was it's just a question of whether the Rockets want to do it or not. Because I think like what a lot of people forget and like um in terms of like the trade for James Harden, obviously his behavior in terms of like
Hmm.
the way he's been acting this season has not been good. But
Yeah.
the fact, I mean, you mentioned it. He scored 44 points and 17 and got 17 assists
Like
after his
after
quarantine. After
quarantining.
quarantine, after partying all off season, this guy comes in and
Yep.
it's still probably
That's
like
one
a
of the
top.
best performances this
Yeah,
year.
one of the yeah, exactly. And there's a reason why the Rockets want a superstar in return. You're not like he is a generational talent. He is one of the
Oh
best
yeah,
scorers of our
he's like a
generation.
top five scorer of all time in my opinion.
I could definitely honestly I definitely could see it. I definitely do see that. But there's a reason why the Rockets want to have a big package come back for James Harden, and what he's
Yes.
doing this so far this season is a reason why. Let's move on to the next one. Are you hot, cold, or just right on the Golden State Warriors so far this season? I mean, it's been kind of rough. I know they've won two straight games, but they've not looked good. They've not looked good.
Yeah,
So are you hot, cold, or just right on them?
I think it's just right.
Yeah.
I kind of expected this myself. With Clay going down, like the team is like brand new. Steph is working with all these new guys, like Eric Pascal and Kelly Oubre. Like Steph has never played with these guys before. Obviously, maybe Steph really can't play without like superstars. Maybe this is a little bit revealing to what Steph could actually be. I mean, he's still putting up good numbers, but obviously, like losing Kevin Durant and Clay has definitely took a big piece out of him and the
Yeah.
Warriors.
Yeah. I mean, like, I agree with you. I'm kind of just right on them, just because I think like people are finally realizing like without Clay that they're kind of not that of great of a team. But I have to disagree with the fact that it's saying that Steph Curry can't play with superstars. And what I mean by that is, I just think that he doesn't need superstars beside him. He needs shooters. And I mean,
That
if
is
you've seen
true.
this, I don't know if you've seen this stat. I mean, it's been going around like Instagram and all that. but Kelly Oubre has only hit 1 3-pointer so far this year.
Yeah, I think I saw something like that. Yeah.
Like he's 1 for 20. He's one for he's 1 for 20 right now on the season. Andrew Wiggins, on the other hand, he's like 4 for like 30 something. Like I don't think you need like crazy talent around Steph,
Yeah, you just
but
need something.
someone you just need someone to hit shots. I think that's the only thing because like Steph is averaging like near 10 assists a game so far this season,
Yeah,
and
if he
like
just had to like
he just needs
play.
people hitting he just needs people hitting shots like open shots because Andrew Wiggins is getting open shots on the like almost every other possession. He's just not hitting.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of like the Golden Warriors are definitely like in kind of like some sort of like limbo. I mean, they don't know if they're gonna be good this year, if they're gonna be bad. But there's not a lot of bright spots on the team. Obviously, Steph is definitely a bright spot. But James Wiseman, I mean, like, what are your thoughts on him? I mean, he's looked really good so far this season.
Yeah, I haven't had the chance to watch Wiseman yet, but second round pick, obviously the or second overall
Overall
pick.
pick.
The
Yeah.
Warriors see a lot in him. Yeah. Warriors see a
Yeah.
lot in him. I might have to watch some tape on Wiseman, but he definitely could be a big piece for them when they do begin to like kind of get into the groove with Clay back and Steph.
Yeah.
So definitely, I think a little comparison, a little bit similar to. 'Cause I think he can shoot, right? I
Yeah. I
haven't
mean,
seen a lot of Wiseman.
yeah, he can shoot. He can shoot.
Yeah, so probably like a little bit similar to like Carl Anthony Towns. You
Yeah.
know, not like as not as good as Cat, but like a good like similar
Yeah.
comparison.
Poor man's cat, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 exactly. So yeah, I mean, before the season, I had the Golden State Warriors being the sixth overall seed. Might be a bit tough now. Maybe I could see that maybe being eighth or seventh, but just somewhere good, kind of in the bottom. But I would be extremely surprised to see them in the second round at this
Oh
point.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
for sure. So yeah, that's the Golden State Warriors. Let's move on to I think we have two more here. Um, we're gonna talk about the new backcourt that's taking the league by storm. I don't know. You could put your thoughts on this backcourt, or you could just give a thought of their nickname. How do you feel about Sixland?
Yeah, I
Like,
saw that.
Are you hot, cold, or just right on Colin Sexton, Darius Garland? Their performances, like so far, the Cavs are 3-1, but also the nickname. I mean, Sixland. Are you hot, cold, or just right on it?
yeah. I'm just right. I think it's perfect. It's
Yeah,
got that. It's got the funny side of it, and
yeah,
it's got the literal side. You know,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just combined names. So
yeah,
yeah, Sexton has definitely been really good this year.
yeah,
Garland also has been pretty solid. So I like the nickname. Very unique.
yeah. And they're 3-1 right now. I mean, like I know, like you, like I mean, not a lot of people do pay attention to Cleveland, but so far, I mean, like, what are your thoughts on them this season so far?
Yeah, they beat the crap out of my Sixers.
Oh
So
yeah, that was like the night before that. That was the night before the Raptor game as well. I remember that. Yeah, that
yeah,
was tough.
I did not last that much watching that game. We lost Joel that game. Usually Joel does good against the Cavs. So Cavaliers,
Yeah,
who knows? I mean,
yeah,
well, look at they have great guards. They
yeah,
have Garland and they have Sexton. They got great centers. They got Larry Nance, JaVale McGee. I mean, they're a deep team. I'm surprised they didn't go like as far as they did. You know,
yeah. I mean, we definitely
or
see it this year. I mean, like it's all really about development, and as long as these guys develop, whether they make the playoffs or not, I think that's considered a W in terms of Cleveland. So far, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Obviously, I mean, any matchup between Joel Embiid and Andre Drummond is always funny to me, just because like Embiid is like a top two center, like wherever you want to
yeah,
put him. But Andre Drummond thinks he's part of that class when he actually isn't. But it's always fun because like he always shows up against Embiid. He always tries to show up against Embiid.
I
So
know.
that
Like
was
last time, you got like Drummond always gets ejected when we play him.
it's always funny seeing like Drummond versus Embiid in these matchups. But yeah,
Yeah,
like you said, you just right on the nickname. I'm super hot
yeah,
on it. I
just
think
right.
it. Yeah, I think I'm super hot on it. It's like one of the best nicknames in the league for me. It's like up there with the Splash Brothers. Sexland just
Yeah,
works so perfectly. It just feels like it was meant to be. It's awesome. It's an awesome nickname.
yeah.
Yeah. Last topic before we head out. Are you hot, cold, or just right on the Lakers repeating this year?
I'm very hot.
Yeah,
I can't really see anyone getting in their way right now. The Bucks obviously haven't had their best start to the season, losing to the Knicks.
they did hit
By
29 threes in a
20,
game
I
against
think
the
it
Heat,
was.
though. They did hit 29
Yeah,
threes
that
against the
that
Heat.
was it was pretty impressive. But Giannis, I don't like the Bucks can't perform in the playoffs as we've seen already. They
Yeah,
can't perform to the high level as much as they in the regular season. So for me, I don't see anyone stepping in the Lakers' way this year. I
yeah,
definitely think they could repeat very hot.
yeah. I'm extremely hot on it as well. Um, so far this season, they've been kind of coasting. I mean, LeBron hasn't even looked like he's been trying his 100%. Same thing with Anthony Davis. Like, I don't really think he wants to be playing basketball right now. I mean, it's only been what, a 70-day off season for them, so it's definitely been kind of tiresome for them. But yeah, I'm
Yeah,
super high on them. I feel like the Lakers are kind of like on a tier all by themselves, and then there's like tier two of like the Bucks,
yeah.
the Clippers, or whatever. But the Lakers feel like they're just head and shoulders above the rest. Would you be worried for them if they were not like number one seed in the West, or like do you think you just be just as confident of them if they were like the 2 or 3 seed?
Yeah, I would still be very confident. LeBron in the playoffs. Good luck with that. You know.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, even if they do get 1, 2, 3 seed, that'd still be my pick. Unless the other team has 60 plus wins, then I'll be like, yeah,
yeah. 60 plus wins
probably
in a
them.
72, yeah, in a 72 game season, that would be
Then that
insane.
would be that would be my pick for the championship,
Yeah, that would be
obviously.
pretty insane. That would be pretty insane. But yeah, I'm definitely with you
Yeah, my
there.
Sixers might do it. Who knows? Who
Who
knows?
knows? I mean, hey, you're on pace for it. You're on pace for it. So
Yeah,
uh,
3-1.
three and
Yeah.
one. Let's hope for the best for your 76ers. Hopefully, my Raptors can get back on track. And yeah, it was a great episode. Talking about some NFL, which we don't really do on the show. Talking about the Eagles. Talking about
Yeah.
the Cowboys. Definitely a good episode. Thanks for coming on, Ben.
No problemo. Pleasure.
Yeah.
Pleasure being on
Um.
here.
Before you head out, do you have anything to say to the people listening to this? Like, what can they expect from your page, your podcast? I'm just giving you the floor to basically just plug yourself.
Yeah, definitely check out Philly Sports Air on Instagram. Even if you're not a Philly sports, I still do post scouting reports. So if you
Yeah.
want to look at my page for any scouting for any prospect for your team, I do a lot of scouting up there. I also do a lot of mock drafts. So it's not all just Philly sports. I give good insight on the hot topics around the NBA. So definitely check me out, Philly Sports
Yeah.
Air on Instagram.
Yeah. And I know that this is going up on your podcast as well, correct? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Sure.
you if you guys are listening on his end, follow at TV on basketball on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Check out the pod. I'm sure that I'll do a post where I post the pod and I'll tag him and he'll probably tag me. So just come check out our
Yep.
pages. Lots of good stuff. And you said you're starting a podcast on your in your new year. This is gonna be the
Yep.
first one
New
you're gonna be
year.
posting.
Yep.
Yeah. Like
New
what can
year. I'm
your
starting it back up. Yep.
yeah
See,
like any
yeah,
stuff like to like kind of like for fans to look forward to going into next year for
yeah,
your pod.
yeah. My podcast it will be more Philly sports talk,
Yeah,
but if there's a hot topic, I'll definitely discuss it. Definitely we'll have more guests on, so we could do what we similar what we did today. Talk
yeah,
about each other's teams and bounce off ideas,
yeah,
and maybe talk about another team.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this episode. I'm gonna have all of Ben's links in the description of this video. It can also be found in my link tree in my bio of my Instagram and everything. It's everywhere. My link tree, you can just find it. And yeah, again, thank you, Ben, for coming on. I'm gonna be back on Monday for another solo podcast. So go check that out. And yeah, hope you all have a fantastic day. We're gonna be signing out. Thank you guys for listening. And yeah, see you guys soon. Peace.